Sarah stood in her kitchen at 2 a.m. staring at her phone, questioning everything she knew to be true. The text message from her boyfriend Marcus was still glowing on the screen. "I never said that. You're remembering things wrong again. Are you okay? I'm worried about you." But she knew what he'd said. She'd heard it with her own ears just 3 hours ago. Hadn't she? Her hands trembled as she scrolled through their conversation history, searching for proof, searching for sanity. This was the third time this week she'd found herself doing this, standing in the dark, doubting her own memory, wondering if something was fundamentally broken inside her mind. What Sarah didn't know yet was that nothing was wrong with her memory. Something far more sinister was happening. And if she didn't recognize it soon, it would cost her everything: her confidence, her relationships, her career, and most dangerously, her grip on her own reality. This is a story about psychological manipulation so subtle it's invisible, so calculated it feels like love, so destructive it can make you question whether you even exist. This is a story about gaslighting, and it could be happening to you right now. Let's rewind to 6 months earlier, when Sarah's life looked completely different. She was a 29-year-old marketing manager with a thriving career, a close circle of friends, and an unshakable sense of who she was. Her colleagues called her the decisive one. Her best friend Emma always said, "Sarah, you've got the best instincts of anyone I know." She trusted herself. That was her superpower. When she met Marcus at a networking event, he seemed like everything she'd been looking for. Confident, successful, attentive. He listened when she talked. He remembered small details. He made her feel seen in a way that felt intoxicating. "You're so different from other women," he'd say. "You actually think. You're not just reacting emotionally to everything." It felt like a compliment. Sarah didn't realize it was the first brick in a wall that would eventually imprison her. Within 3 months, they were spending every weekend together. Within 4, she'd introduced him to her friends. By month 5, he had a key to her apartment. But something was shifting. Sarah started noticing she was apologizing more for things she wasn't sure she'd done wrong. She was explaining herself constantly. And strangest of all, she was starting to doubt memories she'd always been certain of. The stakes were higher than Sarah realized. She wasn't just risking a relationship. She was risking her sanity, her self-trust, and the very foundation of her identity. Because when someone systematically destroys your ability to trust your own perception of reality, you don't just lose a relationship, you lose yourself. The first major crack appeared at Emma's dinner party. Sarah had been looking forward to it all week. She'd barely seen her friends since dating Marcus. Somehow, she was always too busy, too tired, or Marcus needed her for something. But tonight, she'd insisted. These were her people. Halfway through dinner, Sarah was telling a story about a disastrous client meeting when Marcus interrupted with a laugh. "Babe, that's not what happened. You're mixing things up again." The table went quiet. Sarah blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "The meeting was on Tuesday, not Thursday, and it was Aunt David who messed up the presentation. You said it was you who forgot to include the budget slides." Sarah's mind raced. She was certain it was Thursday. She was certain David had been responsible. She had a calendar notification to prove it. Didn't she? I'm pretty sure it was Thursday." Marcus reached over and squeezed her hand, his voice dripping with gentle concern. "Honey, it's okay. You've been so stressed lately. It's understandable that you're getting confused." Emma caught Sarah's eye across the table, her expression unreadable. Later in the kitchen, Emma pulled her aside. "Sarah, what was that?" "What was what?" "Him correcting you like that. In front of everyone." Sarah felt defensive, though she wasn't sure why. "He was just... I have been stressed. Maybe I did get the days mixed up." "Did you, though?" Emma's voice was gentle but firm. "Because the Sarah I know doesn't mix things up. And she definitely doesn't let someone publicly correct her without checking first." Sarah laughed, but it sounded hollow even to her own ears. "You're making it sound worse than it was. He was trying to help." Emma studied her for a long moment. "Was he?" That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She checked her calendar. The meeting was on Thursday. She checked her email chain with David. He had forgotten the slides, not her. Marcus had been wrong. Completely wrong. But he'd been so confident, so certain. And she doubted herself instantly, automatically, without question. When had that happened? When had she stopped trusting her own memory? 3 weeks later, Sarah noticed something else. She was alone. Not physically. Marcus was always there. But her friends had stopped calling. Her sister's texts went unanswered for days. Her co-worker Janet, who used to grab lunch with her twice a week, had stopped asking. When Sarah finally called Emma, her friend's response was careful, measured. "I've missed you, Sarah. We all have. But every time we make plans, something happens. You cancel, or Marcus needs you, or you bring him along when we were expecting just you." "That's not fair. I haven't—" Sarah stopped. Had she? She tried to remember the last time she'd gone anywhere without Marcus. The last time she'd made plans that he hadn't somehow influenced or changed. She couldn't. "Emma, I haven't been ditching you guys." "I didn't say ditching. I said disappearing. And Sarah, when you are around, you're different. You second-guess yourself. You apologize for having opinions. Last week you asked me 3 times if it was okay that you ordered wine with lunch. You ordered wine. Since when do you ask permission for anything?" Sarah felt something crack inside her chest. "I don't ask permission." "Don't you?" Emma's voice was soft. 2 months ago, you told me you couldn't come to my birthday weekend because Marcus said it wasn't a good time for you to be away. You didn't say you couldn't come. You said, Marcus said. Sarah opened her mouth to argue, but no words came. Because Emma was right. That night, she confronted Marcus. "Emma says I've been distant." He didn't look up from his laptop. "Emma's jealous." "What? No, she's my best friend." "Is she?" Now he looked at her, his expression concerned. "Sarah, I didn't want to say anything, but she's made several comments to me about our relationship. Passive-aggressive stuff. I think she's upset you're not as available to her anymore." "Emma wouldn't. I'm just telling you what I've experienced." He closed his laptop, giving her his full attention. His voice became gentle, almost parental. "I know it's hard to see when someone is being manipulative. You're too trusting. It's one of the things I love about you. But babe, I'm just trying to protect you." Sarah felt dizzy. Was Emma jealous? Had she been manipulative? Marcus stood and wrapped his arms around her. "I just don't want to see you hurt. Some people can't handle when their friends are happy." Sarah let him hold her, but something felt wrong. The embrace felt less like comfort and more like a cage. The real break came during a work presentation. Sarah had spent 2 weeks preparing a campaign pitch for her company's biggest client. She'd researched, strategized, created mock-ups. The night before the presentation, she'd run through it with Marcus, who'd nodded along, saying it looked great. The morning of the presentation, Sarah arrived early, confident and ready. She opened her laptop to pull up her slides. Half of them were gone, not deleted, changed. Sections she'd spent hours on were replaced with generic stock images and bullet points that made no sense. Her carefully crafted narrative was now a disjointed mess. She had 30 minutes until the meeting. Panicking, Sarah tried to restore an earlier version, but the file history showed she'd made these changes last night at 11 p.m. But she hadn't. She'd gone to bed at 10:30. She knew she had. Marcus had been on her laptop briefly to check something. He'd asked to use it because his was updating. The presentation was a disaster. Sarah stumbled through it, trying to explain slides that didn't match her talking points. The client looked confused. Her boss looked disappointed. Afterward, her manager pulled her aside. "Sarah, what happened? This wasn't like you." She couldn't answer. She didn't know. That evening, she asked Marcus about it. Casually, lightly, trying not to sound accusatory. "Did you change anything on my laptop last night?" He frowned. "What? No. Why would I do that?" The presentation was different this morning, like someone had edited it." His expression shifted to concern. "Sarah, you were on your laptop until almost midnight. I came to bed and you were still working. Don't you remember?" "No, I went to bed at—" "Honey." He took her hands. "I'm really worried about you. This is the third time this month you've forgotten things. First the dinner party story, then you forgot we had plans last Tuesday. You swore we didn't, but I showed you the texts, and now this. Maybe you should see someone, a doctor or, I don't know, maybe you're burning out." Sarah felt the room spin. Was she losing her mind? The evidence suggested she was. The file changes were logged under her account. Marcus seemed genuinely concerned. Everyone around her seemed to think she was forgetting things, mixing things up, becoming unreliable. Maybe she was crazy. That night, she did something she hadn't done in weeks. She called her sister. "Alex, can I come over?" 30 minutes later, Sarah sat in her sister's kitchen, the whole story spilling out. The doubts, the confusion, the feeling that she was losing her grip on reality. Her sister listened quietly, her face growing darker with each revelation. When Sarah finished, Alex said just 4 words. "Sarah, you're being gaslit." "What?" "Gaslighting. It's psychological manipulation. He's making you question your reality, your memory, your sanity. And Sarah, he's doing it perfectly." Sarah felt like she'd been slapped. No. Marcus loves me. He's concerned about me. Is he? Or is he concerned about controlling you? Alex pulled out her phone and started reading. Gaslighting tactics. Denying they said something you know they said. Check. Telling you you're misremembering events. Check. Isolating you from friends and family. Check. Making you feel crazy for having legitimate concerns. Check. Turning your support system against you by claiming they're the manipulative ones. Check. Sarah felt sick. Every item on the list resonated like a bell. But why would he? Because that's what gaslighters do. They break down your reality so they can rebuild it in their image. They make you so dependent on their version of truth that you can't function without them. Sarah, when was the last time you made a decision without wondering what Marcus would think? Without checking with him first? Sarah couldn't answer. She couldn't remember. Alex continued, her voice fierce. The dinner party. I bet if you check your calendar, you'll find you were right. The presentation. I bet if you looked at your laptop's actual system logs, not just the file history, you'd see someone else was logged in. And the isolation? That's textbook. He's been cutting you off from everyone who might help you see what he's doing. Sarah felt something shift inside her, like a fog lifting, like seeing clearly for the first time in months. Oh my God. Yeah. The next hour was a revelation. Alex helped Sarah go through her phone, her calendar, her emails. Every incident Marcus had claimed Sarah was misremembering had evidence supporting Sarah's version. Every time he'd said she was confused, she'd been right. She wasn't crazy. She'd been systematically undermined. The anger came then, hot and clarifying. Sarah didn't confront Marcus that night, she planned. With Alex's help, she documented everything. She changed her passwords. She quietly reached out to Emma and her other friends, apologizing and explaining. Their response was immediate and unwavering. We knew something was wrong. We've been waiting for you to see it. 3 days later, Sarah sat across from Marcus in her apartment, the apartment she'd soon be changing the locks on. We need to talk, she said. He smiled, relaxed. Sure, babe. What's up? I'm ending this relationship. His smile faltered. What? Why? Sarah, if this is about the dinner party where you said I mixed up the days, I didn't. I checked. The client meeting? I was right. David forgot the slides. You've been telling me I'm misremembering things that I remember perfectly. Sarah, you're being paranoid. No, her voice was steel. I'm being clear. For the first time in months, I'm seeing clearly. You've been gaslighting me, and it ends now. She watched his face cycle through emotions, surprise, anger, and then something calculating. He tried concern next. Honey, this is exactly what I'm worried about. You're having some kind of break. I'm not having a break. I'm having a breakthrough. I want you to leave. What followed was exactly what her research on gaslighting had predicted. He cycled through tactics. Love bombing. I'm sorry, I love you, I'll change. Denial. This never happened. You're making things up. Blame shifting. You're the one who's been distant and difficult. Threats. You'll never find someone who understands you like I do. Sarah didn't engage. She didn't argue. She didn't justify. She just repeated, I want you to leave. And eventually, he did. That was 8 months ago. Today, Sarah stands in her kitchen, the same kitchen where she once questioned her sanity. But everything is different. She trusts herself again. The fog has lifted. Her friends are back in her life. Her career has recovered. More importantly, she's recovered. Therapy helped her understand that gaslighting isn't about the victim being weak or stupid. It's about the abuser being calculatedly cruel. It can happen to anyone. The smart, the confident, the decisive. In fact, those are often the people gaslighters target, because breaking someone strong gives them more power. Sarah learned the signs. You're being gaslit if someone denies saying things you clearly heard, tells you you're too sensitive when you have legitimate concerns, makes you feel crazy for having emotions or memories, insists events happen differently than you remember, consistently, isolates you from friends and family, uses your own self-doubt against you, projects their behavior onto you, accuses you of lying when they're lying, refuses to take responsibility ever, makes you constantly explain and justify yourself. And she learned the antidotes. Trust your reality. If your gut says something is wrong, something is wrong. Document everything. Gaslighting thrives in ambiguity. Evidence kills it. Maintain outside relationships. Abusers isolate. Connection is your armor. Notice the pattern. Once is a miscommunication. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times is a tactic. Listen to your body. If you feel constant anxiety, confusion, or self-doubt around someone, that's information. Sarah wants you to know something. If you recognized yourself in this story, you're not crazy. You're not oversensitive. You're not imagining things. You're being manipulated. And here's the thing about gaslighting. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like those optical illusions where the image looks random until suddenly you see the hidden picture, and then you can never not see it again. So Sarah leaves you with this challenge. Over the next week, pay attention. Notice when you apologize for things that don't warrant apologies. Notice when you doubt yourself immediately when someone questions you. Notice who makes you feel confused and who makes you feel clear. Notice if you're constantly explaining yourself, justifying your feelings, or defending your reality. Write it down. Because gaslighters count on you forgetting. And if you see the pattern, if you recognize yourself in Sarah's story, if you realize someone has been rewriting your reality, believe yourself, trust yourself. Your reality is valid. You're not the crazy one. And just like Sarah, you can walk out of that fog and back into the light. It starts with one decision, to trust that your perception of your own life is real. Because it is. Your reality matters. Your truth matters. You matter. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced gaslighting? What helped you see it clearly? Drop a comment below. Your story might be the wake-up call someone else needs. And if this resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Remember, trusting yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. See you in the next video. Stay strong. Stay clear. Stay true to your reality.